Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day recap for Thursday. A little bit of, I would say, a clawback today in the indices. We had a huge amount of volatility. We did a pretty long webinar about that last night, Wednesday night. So if you haven't had a chance to tune that in, I will have that recording sent out shortly on my Twitter page. But we kind of really dug into the major indices and the sectors, international markets, and came up with some good conclusions from there. So today what we had is S&P back about 40 basis points and a nice move from the lows. If I was actually looking for a little bit more capitulation this morning, we didn't get it. We did have futures down about 15-20 basis points when we got in the morning versus being up a little bit last night. So that's a good sign. But I really wanted to see a nice selling pressure further kind of come in, but you can't have exactly what you want. So we didn't exactly finish on the highs today in S&P, and we'll go through Nasdaq in a second. Major thing to watch here is a couple of things. 50-day moving average, which is the purple line on my charts. We kind of stalled there. So my thought here is the fact that we didn't get above it. It's not the end of the world. I think Rome wasn't built in a day. I think you have to be a little bit patient here and give it some time. Sometimes these things they don't just bounce right back in one day. We kind of see where this happened last time when we had a kind of similar, not as big of a big red candle, but it took some time, and then we ended up making 52-week highs. So next week we do have, we've got the Comey testimony, so maybe that's also why we'll probably chop around a little bit, and maybe some things will recover. So that said, that's kind of what I'm watching for. Notice that you do have a sell signal here. You got a sell signal here. Let it work its way out a little bit. Just because I say sell signal doesn't mean that we're going lower. It just means that sometimes it takes a little time for us to kind of get through this. Nasdaq was a lot more positive. Nasdaq coming into the other day was extremely overbought. So regardless of the reason, it needed a pullback. Same thing here, not as a different picture, but about a 30% retracement here. Again, I'm using the same phrase, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Give it some time. Reclaim the 20-day moving average. Not quite the 5-day. Once we get back above 5, I think you can kind of say that this is basically a good thing, but we're not there yet. Also, you could see an MACD crossover here. So again, let it work its way through a little bit. We'll see what we get tomorrow, Friday, which is also option expiration, and then small caps, which I don't have small cap futures on here anymore because Thinkorswim is not giving them to you for free. Small cap futures, excuse me, small caps IWM. Notice this is the worst of the three. It is the price came back a little bit today, but kind of lackluster. It is still in value for the month, so I would really watch that 134 level. We've bounced off this support before, but still kind of looking more troubled. Also clear, decently below the 50-day moving average on that big move down yesterday. So more work to do in that one, and that one looks as the weakest of the three. What was particularly a good sign for the markets today? Biotech. Last time I remember the last time that we had a little bit of volatility in the market and a pullback. What led us higher was actually biotech got a bid back first. So this was the best performing sector, up 2.1% today, and look at it from yesterday too. In bullish engulfing candle from yesterday, really strong looking. That this one we took out yesterday's open. So keep an eye on this. We might have a continuation higher here in biotech. That would be really, I think, bullish. Also, semiconductors, they also did pretty well today. They finished up 1.5%. Again, remember, these things were really overbought. The RSI, anytime the RSI, especially for an index, gets above like a 75, you really want to take profits. So a nice day back. Again, more work to do. We didn't reclaim the yellow line, but pretty darn near close, and I think pretty good. Applied Materials had earnings after the close. Good earnings too. They looks like I believe they're up a little bit. I think they missed slightly on the bottom. Sorry, I'm going from memory. Missed slightly on the bottom line, beat on the top line, and their guidance was really good. That's the major thing. Even if I got that wrong, the guidance was strong. So really good. And then if you look at a couple other names that reported, nothing really in terms of weakness. And then again, you kind of talk about whenever there's political headlines, these things are usually a buying opportunity. Really, where you have to worry about structural things is when earnings are continuing to move weaker. They're not right now. So this thing is going to shake itself out within a couple days, maybe a week or so. Who knows? But the fact that Autodesk is up nicely. Ross Stores also up pretty good. Gap Stores up. There's not one. I didn't see one after hours that really tanked. Salesforce also up. Again, I don't see any really cracks in the in any of the names that report after the close. This is a good sign. Good sign for the market. Of course, retail is going to be a case by case situation, just because I think that model is shifting. But all in all, a lot of these tech companies continue to kind of come in with strong earnings, and that to me makes much more of a difference than some political headlines that we don't even know if it's true or not. Is it going to cause short-term volatility? Absolutely, especially when we're overbought. It's going to crush the market, but I'm not concerned. Sorry for the bears. The VIX, after a huge day up yesterday, retraced some of that move. Kind of the same thing, very similar to like the S&P and equities retracing some of the move, down 7%. You know, it could be, this is a very toppy looking candle. This is what a shooting star looking candle. So that could be it for volatility. I think it moves back down. Maybe not exactly tomorrow, but I like selling call spreads. I like selling call spreads in VXX. I think it's a great time to do that. These instruments are meant to deteriorate over time because of how they function. Again, if you don't believe me, take a look at a 5-year chart in VXX. It just goes down over time. And part of it is because obviously volatility has gone down over the last 5 years, but also the product is very, very flawed. The product just will not go up over time. So VXX never traded at 1,000. They have to keep giving it reverse splits. Basically, any time that we've gotten moves up in VXX has been a great time to sell call spreads, out of the money call spreads. That I think is a good time to do that now, and kind of leg into it a little bit. So that's what I'm looking at in terms of selling this product. Probably June call spreads. I'll be looking at selling. So again, that's a bullish equities trade. What else? Other things that could have kind of stood out today. Gold miners. Gold went down 80 basis points today. Bonds were essentially flat. The yen, which is also kind of a risk-off trade, was essentially flat today as well. We didn't see those break out. So all in all, I think good progress. I'll kind of leave it there. There was a couple interesting option activity trades for the day. More NVIDIA calls. It's always interesting on days like this to see where the buyers come back, what they buy on the dips. And they were selective yesterday. I would call it selective as well today. But there were certain things like Fez, Europe. I talked about this pre-market. We look at the FEZ trade. Again, this is basically Euro stocks. It hasn't come down. I was hoping this would come down to the 50-day moving average. It hasn't quite gotten there, but so maybe a little bit of a buy on the dip. We also saw some buying in NRG calls, some monthly calls, big buy order. Keep in mind, Calpine there's rumors of them being taken out. So I think NRG, not exactly the same company, but I don't know, maybe something going on there. Symantec calls, nice short dated block. I like this. I actually took this trade today, even though it's very short dated, which I don't really like to take and hold overnight short dated trades. But Symantec was in a nice uptrend. And they had earnings, and they ran up a little bit too much into earnings. I don't think there was anything that bad about their call. So I like the hammer bar that kind of came in today, and I'm looking for a retracement in the next couple of days. I will only hold that trade, that position on for a couple of days max. Bud also a nice. There was a lot of Bud calls that went up. There was also the August 135s as well, but looked like dip buying to me. You look at Bud on the 5-minute bar today, and again since earnings, big gap up but moved down. 200-day moving average there, And you could kind of see if you scale out a little bit for Bud, this was right where they bought the calls, right on this volume. So definitely, I think a dip buyer in Bud. So that's a quick option review for today. Look forward to the markets tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow morning in the Tribeca Trade Room. Thanks, and have a great night.